position at all. That's one. Two, when confronted with challenges and situations, do you just hunker down and shy away because you want public applause? Chewon, let's be factual. Let me go to it. You know the subsidy was draining this country. A few hundreds were making billions out of it. Every president said they will stop subsidy. None of them did. Let's give.
This channel not only feed your eyes with good movies, we also bring you the hottest and the newest trend around the globe. My darlings, sit tight and enjoy this one.
The National Economic Council today has asked that the withdrawal of the tax reform bill be done today, the bill that was presented by the presidency to the National Assembly. And the presidency says the tax reforms bill is not against the northern region of the country. Tonight, one of President Bola Tinubu's new appointees will be joining me to discuss Bola Tinubu administration and what the plight of Nigerians are in the face of the administration's efforts. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloye in Abuja. Well, it seems to be a lot of drama. It was a particular issue taken up by the northern governors at their meeting in Kaduna, and they had some reservations about the tax reform bills and the agenda of the Bola Tinubu presidency on issues relating to taxation. They are worried about the derivation, the VAT revenue, and the distribution or disbursement plan and the agenda. They're not very comfortable with it. They felt that the northern region of the country could be shortchanged, and they are fighting hard. I had one of the governors to speak with us about that matter. That gets our attention. One thing that gets our attention tonight is the fact that one of the new entrants into the Bola Tinubu's team will be talking to us. If you say there is one man who was closest to Bola Tinubu, he is that man. Well, he worked with Muhammadu Buhari. Now the president has called him. Why? What are his roles? And what is the Bola Tinubu government doing to better the lot of Nigerians? It's going to be interesting conversation tonight on the program. But let's begin by letting you know what the National Economic Council has said today. They've expressed some reservations about the tax reform bills forwarded by President Bola Tinubu to the National Assembly. The bill was forwarded to the National Assembly based on the report and recommendations of the Oyedele Committee, the Presidential Committee on Fiscal and Tax Reforms, set up by the President to help boost revenue generation in the country. NEC unanimously called for the withdrawal of that bill, and this was part of the resolutions reached during the National Economic Council meeting chaired by the Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Presidential Villa, a meeting which ended just about a few hours ago at the Presidential Villa. Some of the governors who briefed the State House correspondent speaking about the situation, and after the meeting, they noted the need for sufficient alignment between and amongst the stakeholders for the proposed reforms. Take a listen to the governor of Oyo State, who spoke specifically about what the governors or the NEC agreed upon.
The council acknowledged that the country is underperforming on all indices as it regards yields from major revenue sources, also tax to GDP ratio, and so on. So after extensive deliberation, NEC noted the need for sufficient alignment between and amongst the stakeholders for the proposed reforms. So Council therefore recommend the need to withdraw the bill currently before the National Assembly on tax reforms, so that we can have wider consultations and also build consensus around these reforms for the benefit of the entire country.
All right. Those are some of the resolutions and the stance of the National Economic Council. You do know that the Vice President is usually, as prescribed by the Constitution, the chair of that committee, and the NEC is an advisory body to the President in several issues, which comprise of ministers whose roles are relating to the economy, some heads of agencies, and governors of the 36 states. Well, so much to talk about tonight. Interesting conversations we shall be having. But first and foremost, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Nigeria's Governors Forum rose from a meeting this morning with a pledge to the Dangote refinery and all other efforts towards having more local crude oil refining capacity. After receiving briefing from the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Mr. Mele Kyari in Abuja, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, who spoke on behalf of the forum, also gave the assurances of the governors to support the policies of the federal government, expressing hope for a better outcome soon.
I don't think that you or me will be happy as a Nigerian, an OPEC member, producing crude oil, relying on importation for our people to make use of petroleum products. So we must encourage the homegrown solution.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it has recovered over 248 billion naira from proceeds of crime in the last 1 year. The Director of Public Affairs, Mr. Wilson Uwajaren, made this known while giving an update on the achievements of the Commission so far. According to him, over £53,000, 172,000 euros were also recovered. Mr. Uwajaren further adds that the Commission is taking its rapid response a notch higher in order to curb cybercrime. Meanwhile, ahead of the Ondo State governorship election, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, says the Commission has identified some potential flashpoints in the state and it is working with security agencies for effective conflict mapping. Professor Yakubu stated this during the fourth quarterly meeting with civil society organizations, CSOs, in Abuja. He expressed satisfaction with improvements to the voter accreditation process and result upload process and called on civil society organizations to support the Commission's effort to conduct free and fair elections.
The collection of the permanent voters' cards, mainly from the recent voter registration, ended 2 days ago. A total of 64,273 PVCs were collected by voters out of 89,777 cards delivered to the state.
Also ahead of the November 2nd local government elections in Nasarawa State, Governor Abdullahi Sule has handed over flags to the 13 All Progressives Congress candidates in separate rallies in Kefi, Akwanga, and Lafia local government areas. During the rallies, the governor says the APC will refund registration fees to aspirants that sought for the chairmanship and councillorship tickets of the party. According to the governor, having lost in a keenly contested primary election organized by the party, through consensus, the APC resolved to refund the registration fees to all its aspirants who did not succeed in their bid for the ticket of the party.
Shareholders and capacity candidates and capacity members of this party who believe in this party, who will bring the dividends back to us. And that's why we call you the shareholder of this particular party.
The Ogun State chapter of the Labour Party has challenged the State Independent Electoral Commission to take the advantage of the forthcoming local government elections to conduct a free, fair and credible election that reflects the wishes of the electorate. The party threw up the challenge in Abeokuta, the state capital, during the flagging off campaign for the local government elections slated for the 16th of November this year. The party promised the desired purposeful leadership if its candidates are elected to positions of authority at the third tier of government. Lastly, a new political group Kwara Redemption Movement, KRM, has emerged in Kwara State to sensitize and mobilize the people to choose the right people for the leadership of the state in the 2027 elections. The conveners of the group explained that the new movement is necessitated in the state by lack of equity, justice, and fairness in governance and distribution of amenities in the state. According to a convener of the group, Mr. Iola Oyedipo, the group is not a political party, but a socio-political movement to sensitize the people of the state to elect the right leadership for the state in the next election.
Well, as the National Economic Council has given his own reservation about the tax reform bills and is withdrawing from the National Assembly, the northern state governors at that meeting and some traditional rulers in Kaduna were also complaining and debating or arguing that that is not in the interest of the North. The presidency has been reacting to the fears by the governors of the North that a tax reform bill before the National Assembly is targeted at the 19 northern states, where the governors of the 19 northern states had rejected the bill, especially the proposed amendment to the distribution of value-added tax to a derivation-based model. The presidential spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, today says the new proposal, as enunciated in the bill, is designed to create a fairer system that will benefit all states. Onanuga says that the strategy to President Bola Tinubu in fixing the issues in the country is very specific and strategic, and stated that the ongoing tax reform seeks to correct the inequity in the current derivation model as a basis for distributing VAT revenue in the country. It says, quote, while we commend the governors and traditional rulers for supporting President Bola Tinubu over the success recorded in addressing the country's security challenges, we consider it necessary to address the misunderstanding and misgivings around the tax reform already embarked upon by the administration. End of quote. Let's spend a few seconds or minutes on this matter. Let me bring in an expert, Tinubu'S, who is the head research and policy at Budget. He joins us virtually live from Cross River. Thank you so much, Tinubu'S, for joining us. Give us an understanding. I mean, in the coinage or in the drafting of that bill, I don't know if you have read that draft. Does it raise, what part of it is it the semantics? Is it the technical language? Or what exactly raised the fears of the governor to the point that the NEC today has said, withdraw that bill? It appears you are muted. All right, we'll fix that audio and probably come back to you in a moment. Let's take care of that as if we can. Well, tonight, I have with me a former Minister of Sport and now a newly appointed special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on public communication. Mr. Sunday Dare is live with us right here in the studio. Thank you so much. It's good to see you.
Good evening.
The last time you and I sat on this table was a long time ago in the same newsroom.
Absolutely. Some years back.
Some years back. Interesting.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Former minister, now special advisor. There are those who will think maybe it's a downgrade into what you have soared into in your life at some point. Is it actually?
It's not a downgrade. It's a call to national service. I think the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Tinubu, can summon anyone to play a critical role. It's a call to duty. And that's the way I see it, a call to duty to help in the administration, effective administration of this country at a time like this when we're going through reforms that are necessary. And that's the way I see it.
So, I mean, you don't see it as such, but those who say, can the former minister now become a special advisor?
That shouldn't be an issue at all, because when you look at it in the past, we've seen presidents call on Nigerians to come and play a particular role. And President Tinubu, beyond me, has also invited several other people who had held higher positions in the past. So it's a non-issue. I think what's important is that for the president to repose that trust in me, to come back and be part of what he is doing, that for me is what is the most critical. And I think that I haven't been in government before. Governance is a continuum. You understand? And there are issues that have to be dealt with. You inherit certain things, and then you continue to reform until we have a country that functions the way we want it to function. And I think every Nigerian should be ready to answer that call of duty from whoever is the president of our country. And right now it's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I'm glad to take on that responsibility with a theme that is already in place.
So when you got a call from the presidential villa and they said, hold on for the president, what was it that he told you?
There was no call. The president is my father. Recall I'd worked with him before. So it was simply, it's time to come and be part of this team. And even before then, the job of working for Nigeria had not stopped. I'm a patriot. You don't have to have a position before you can support your government. How many people can be in position?
But what did he tell you exactly?
Well, basically,
I assume that you met him face to face.
I did. He's somebody I know very well. I've had opportunity to work with him in the past. I've monitored his programs and reforms. But beyond that, I know him to be an unrepentant progressive. I know that he places a premium on good governance. I know he's a compassionate leader, but one that is unafraid to take risk. One that over time has prepared for a time like this, because he was forged in the crucible of the struggle. But beyond that, he was also forged in the crucible of democratic governance, of bringing development to the people. So he's somebody that is not unfamiliar with power. He's somebody that's not unfamiliar with the challenges that come with being in power and taking tough decisions. He's somebody who does not play to the gallery. I can tell you up front, he's not there for the applause. He's there for history. He's there to make sure that when the story of his legacy is written, they will say there was a president who, when it mattered most, did not shy away from taking those tough decisions. And the annals of history throw up so many leaders like him who were, to some point, their policies were not popular, but after they had exited power, people see that. But I want to assure you, some of these policies we have ongoing is because they are necessary. And there's a sense of time in them. There's this saying, if you don't, you will have to take 9 stitches down the road if you don't take a stitch now. That's why they say a stitch in time saves 9. Now, we are taking this stitch now, so that down the road, we'll not take 9 or more stitches.
When your appointment came, it came to some as surprise, because they think that at some point you have become an outsider. The names of the likes of Tinubu'S had come up, and when you were announced, people were surprised. They said, "Oh, why Sunday Dare? Why not a Tinubu'S who has been speaking apparently for the president?"
You must give the president the benefit of the doubt. Beyond being the president, I don't think we've had anybody who has been well tutored and prepared. Somebody who had the entire country as his political space. Somebody who was engaged at different levels, the lowest levels of the ordinary citizen to the highest, both in the intellectual and outside of it, the public and private sector. So you must give him the benefit of the doubt to decide. He takes that final decision. And I trust his judgment to say, these are the people I want to work with. And I said, I feel privileged that I was tapped.
Why public communication and orientation?
Well,
you have been a journalist.
Absolutely.
You headed the Voice of America, the Hausa service for several years.
Right.
We both sat in the same newsroom at television, NN24, the defunct NN24.
Absolutely.
You worked in television. You went on exile as a newspaper journalist in this country, and public communication and orientation. One would have thought that it would be exactly the job of speaking directly or to the issues that relate to journalism as to in reporting for the president in that manner. That's what one would have thought. Why public communication and orientation?
Well, I think when you look at the A to Z of communications, it's captured under public communication. When you talk about public affairs, you talk about media, they are all embedded in public communication. They're just different flavors. So it's not a deviation from my role as a journalist. I haven't been a journalist for about 3 decades, like you said, and we worked together before at NN24 that time. So it fits within my own professional area, but also fits into the desire of Mr. President to bring on people, not just in the media, but in several other aspects of governance, to bring on people that can add value, to join the team, to work together. And that's what has happened.
It's interesting that, were you called to come and salvage the situation? It looks like it was broken, was it?
No, there's nothing broken. Even though, of course, I had the opportunity of also looking in from the outside. As a media person, as a public policy person, the system wasn't broken. And let me tell you why.
Why were you called? Let me. It wasn't broken.
Well, the
team was set up.
I was not brought in as somebody to drain the swamp. So let's get that right. I was brought in to add value to the team that already existed.
And fill a vacuum.
And every government does that. Across the world, they bring in people. Some people are taken off. And I think that process continues. This president will continue to look for people who have the kind of talents he needs to achieve the goal and objectives and the policies he has promised Nigerians to implement. And I think I see it from that angle. For me, nothing is broken. Rather, this is to make sure that we accelerate and deepen the communication and education and democratize the public space when it comes to information. You know, Sean, let me tell you, no matter how sound a policy is, if it's devoid of an effective strategic communication plan, it's going to fail. We've seen fantastic policies fail because of lack of a coordinated communication plan. We've seen some worse policies survive because the communication built around it is strong. But this time around, we have policies that are great. And on a consistent basis, we must make sure that we explain these policies, must explain what immediate impacts are, whether positive or negative. We must also set that expectant tone to say, it will take a year, it will take 2 years before this really materializes to what we expect. And that is the norm when it comes to governance.
From some of the communication on the inside that I'm privy to, it looks like you are being called to string together communication across the MDAs. What particular role are you? What is your? What is the breakdown of your role in government? Because you are now being seconded to the ministry to perform your role from the Ministry of Information. Is that right? Well, when that statement came out, it says special advisor to the President of Public Communication and Orientation from the Ministry of Information. That was the first time I was hearing that. Yeah. So what exactly is that?
Well, you see, the president believes in building synergy. The team, the media communications team around the president is a single unit. And even before I came on, the team in the villa with the Ministry of Information were working together. And it's not about physical location. It's about the value and the work you do. That's what's important. Physical location is not. So
you are not working in the presidency. You will be working outside of the presidency. Is that right?
The question of physical location is not an issue. For me as a core professional, anywhere I'm placed, I do the work. That's one. Two, all these people in the ministry, the team in the villa, we work together because we have one principle, we have one single assignment to communicate the policies of this government effectively to the public in a way that it makes sense, in a way that the citizens of this country come to the clear understanding that for these reforms that we're having, there is an objective and it's going to be a journey.
All right. Before we get into you performing some of the roles, I needed to understand what your role is. That's why we have had this prefix to our main conversation. We'll get into you defending and getting to pay for, to get, to work for the pay.
Like I've told you, my role is defined. It's no different from the work that the team has been doing.
Yeah.
You know, we're all professionals. The people that are met on that team are parts of Cross. We've worked together for 20, 30 years. It's just that work is to make sure that we accelerate that process.
Let me allow you clear this political issue before I now go into the reasons why you have to work for your paycheck. Did you betray President Tinubu? Because it was seen as though you betrayed him.
That's begging the question. The fact that he has brought me on.
They say he's giving you a second chance.
There's nothing like a second chance.
Did you betray him?
A president? No. Why will I betray him? Somebody has served. Somebody has
said to have stabbed him in the
for every appointment I took. I had his endorsement.
Did you get his blessing at the first time?
Absolutely. Before I went to NCC, I got his blessing.
You say he was reluctant to allow you go.
I don't know where you got that from.
Is it true that
I know, no.
You were so powerful. You were neither a chief of staff, you were neither a son, a PA, an SA, a media spokesperson. You were almost everything to Bola Tinubu.
Absolutely.
You were the Bola Tinubu that everybody saw.
Yes.
You were that powerful. But it was as though politically that you stabbed him in the back.
I never stabbed him. Sure, I never stabbed him.
What happened?
That was a call to national duty, and it was not without his knowledge and support.
But he did not second you to Buhari. It was your own volition, isn't it?
That was a national call to duty.
It was your volition.
And I had his
blessings. Your own political move, isn't it?
When you are appointed, it's not your own political move.
But was it
it's a call to national.
You?
Don't forget.
Politically speaking,
let me explain. The APC is a party. You back up and look at the role Asiwaju Bola Tinubu played in the emergence of Muhammadu Buhari. And I can say clearly, without Asiwaju's role in forming the party, in making the platform to be there, in moving away from political alliances to mergers, a President Buhari will not have emerged. I talk about the resources,
was it true
the intellectual work that went into it.
Were you the one who actually did the research and proposed Buhari to Bola Tinubu?
No.
Bola Tinubu mentioned it in Lagos.
Well, he
said he asked you and you were the one who convinced him about Buhari.
He said I was part of it. And I was part of rebuilding the democratic image of former President Buhari.
You sold Buhari.
So it couldn't have been only me. It was a team. It was a team.
You were the one who said you did the work.
Let me get back to this.
You sold Buhari to Bola Tinubu and the major issues came up.
Let me get back to this very valid point. That the formation of that party, the electoral victories we won in 2015 and the one won in 2019 had the writing and the imprimatur of President Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. So we're a party. And beyond me, several other people were also invited because we're working for country.
Did you regret ever pitching Buhari to Tinubu?
I did not pitch Buhari to Tinubu.
You did. The president mentioned it in Lagos.
No, there's a difference between pitch and the difference between when we have a candidate, Sunday, work with others to make sure that this candidate is acceptable. That is the difference. I was part of the team.
He said he probably wouldn't have seen it if not because of the convincing that some of you did, especially you. He made mention of your name.
No, it wasn't only me. There were quite a number of people.
So easily. I don't forget things that I was.
I was part of that. I wouldn't have forgotten. My memory is not
for those who will say President Buhari failed in that government, what would you have to say? Now you're working for another government.
Well, let me say this, and I will talk at the general level. You see, every government inherits certain things. And every government will also bequeath certain legacies on its way out. I told you governance is a continuum. Beyond the personality, I rather want to deal with what are the policies, what were the challenges of that time? How did that government confront those challenges? And just as governance is a continuum, this is a developing country. We know that our resources aren't enough to meet the things that we need to fix in different sectors. So,
you're watching Nolly Magic TV. My joy is to keep you updated with latest gist. And your joy should be subscribing to this channel and giving this video a thumbs up, please.
Every government comes in, you make whatever effort you can make, and you move on.
Those who said they were disappointed by the Buhari 8 years, and you were part of it.
Well, you see, it depends. Some people see the cup half empty. Some see the same cup half full.
What do you see?
Well, I think the President Buhari came, did his bit, and moved on. Just like President Obasanjo. Don't depart from that trajectory. And Obasanjo came, did his bit, and moved on. Yar'Adua did his bit and moved on. Jonathan came, did his bit, and moved on. Buhari came, did his bit, and moved on. And I think what matters is that we have in situ right now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is there right now as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, with the requisite experience, and I dare say with the requisite courage, to take decisions, to press the button, to take those tough decisions that other presidents did not take. And my focus right now is the current. How do we deal with this? How do we support this president who has shown clearly that he has chosen the road less traveled by other leaders? To say, I'm choosing this road that is less traveled because I know this country needs fixing.
So that road that he has chosen has left a lot of Nigerians in pain, penury, and in poverty.
Right.
And that's a road you think is right for Nigerians?
Absolutely. You know,
you don't think that your leader, the man you call your father, is leading Nigeria to
not at all.
To a road perhaps of economic partition?
Not at all. You know, history will forgive you as a leader. History will not forgive you as a leader if you do not take any decision at all. That's one. Two, when confronted with challenges and situations, do you just hunker down and shy away because you want public applause? Chewon, let's be factual. Let me go to it. You know, the subsidy was draining this country. A few hundreds were making billions out of it. Every president said they will stop subsidy. None of them did. Let's give this man some credit. We might not like it, and I acknowledge the fact that Nigerians are facing difficult times. But it's just for a period. That's one. He's taking some other decisions that...
Let's go back to the subsidy. The manner in which he went about it is what experts have criticized. How would you get into the office in the first day and remove fuel subsidy, a particular item in the economy of the country that is central? And you did it, and you almost dragged the puzzle from the bottom and everything cascaded towards the south.
Chewon, we still have a country. But let me also say, when we choose leaders, we put our trust in them to lead. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was elected, and he earned the trust to lead. And when a leader leads, you must also trust his guts and his decisions. There are no perfect leaders anywhere.
If you subject it to empirical analysis, Mr. Dare, in the last 1 year, I don't know how much of these economic indices you are looking at, but for what is in front of me, it doesn't look like a nation that was handed over to the Tinubu government is the one that Nigerians are happy about. Do you feel the pains of Nigeria, Mr. Dare?
I feel the pains of Nigeria.
Do you see what the kind of poverty Nigerians
The president feels the pains of Nigerians, and he has said it repeatedly that he feels the pains of Nigerians, but it doesn't stop there. He is doing something, and it's important for us to face it. He's provided options. For instance, Nelfund. There's a success story in Nelfund. There's a success story in consumer credit, which never had. There's a success story in CNG. Other countries have options. There's a success story in the 110 billion for youth development in this country. Chewon, I can go on and on. I can name at least 37 policies. This is a president that is responding. If you look at some of these policies, robust policies, and policies, let me tell you, the gestation period for policies to really bear fruit, I'm telling you, check any economics book, it's between 2 to 5 or 6 years. We're just barely 18 months down the road. I think the president appreciates the sacrifices Nigerians are making. And he has not missed words, either when he speaks extempore or in his speeches. He
Because
is very,
the fear
he's very,
is
he's
that
very
the
clear
economy
about
is
that.
not on its knees. The economy is on its belly right now. How
it's a-
it will
it's a
rise out
question
of the rubble is what...
this economy will rise. And
So now, the question is
because
that,
on
is
his
this
daily-
the Tinubu that you used to know?
Absolutely. Let me tell you, this country, when he took over this country as president, was this a perfect country? Did we not have these challenges? Was he handed a perfect economy and a perfect country?
He knew it before he took the job.
He said it. He said, I know I'm
He
signing
begged
off.
for the job.
He said, I'm signing off for a tough job.
But
And what he
he's
has been
left
doing,
Nigeria's
what he
worse
has
than
been
he
doing,
left
what he has
Mr.
been
Dare.
doing is trying to fix the problem. If you take your car to a mechanic and he has a problem, the mechanic tells you, go away, come back. I need to take away. And if you wait there, you will see as they take it apart and then put it together. President Tinubu has found a few areas of our economy.
Is it tearing Nigeria apart to put it together? Is that what
It's taking, that way you talk about reforms. Reforms is that you move things around. That's what I'm saying. Is bringing on reforms in order to fix this country down the road. Like let me say this. If you do not take the one stitch now to save 9, you will take 9 stitches later. What President Tinubu is doing right now is saving this country from taking painful stitches down the road. And it takes courage to do that. You will lose popular applause, you will get abuse and attacks, but I think that I urge him to stay consistent in that process.
Give me a moment, we need to go on break. When we come back, we'll be getting more insight about the Tinubu agenda. His new man on the team, Sunday Dare, is still with us, but we're getting some expert opinion also about the rejection by NEC on the tax reforms bill. We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Then us again. Much everyone for staying with us. Mr. Sunday Dare, a special advisor to the president on public communication and orientation, is still live with us here in the studio. Let's take a moment to get back to Mr. Tinubu'S, who is the head research and policy at Budget, to give us some professional insight into what NEC has done today. They made a position known that withdraw the tax reform bill sent by the presidency to the National Assembly. Some of the argument that was put forward by some of the governors and those who attended NEC today. What is your own professional assessment of what happened today?
Yeah, thank you, Sean. I mean, it's a good thing that we're now discussing or debating the intergovernmental fiscal relations that exist among the states. In my own opinion, is long overdue. The terms of existing as a federation, in my own opinion, must be robustly negotiated and contested by the federating units to arrive, at a consensus that works for all. But, it is evident that the fiscal equalization arrangements that have been in place have not worked as intended, to reduce inequality, amongst the states. And this is emphasized by the recent State of State report released by Budget, that 32 states, relied on FAC receipts for at least 50% of their total revenue, while about 14 states relied on FAC for at least 70% of their total revenue. What's more, 34 states relied on FAC for at least 62% of their total recurrent revenue, while, 21 states relied on FAC receipts for at least 80% of their total recurrent revenue. Now, we all agree that the pie is too small. Not only is it too small, that's speaking to the national pie, but it is inequitably shared, amongst the vertically amongst the 3 tiers and horizontally across the subnational units or the 36 states, as the case may be. And then what we've seen over time is that this fiscal equalization arrangements also have turned quite a number of states to rentier states that just wait till the end of every month, go to FAC meetings, collect FAC, and they have not been able to do what needs to be done to mobilize revenues internally. So it's a good thing that we're contesting, some of the arrangements that have existed over time, and have fostered inequality among the states.
Yeah. So,
but if I come to the meat of the matter, right, the position taken by the northern governors, in my own opinion, are valid in the sense that at the core of it is the fact that we are not able to tell for now what the origin of certain VAT due to states are. So the VAT is paid at the headquarters level, and so we are not able to tell the VAT due the states as a result of the consumption happening in those states. But I think these are things that can be resolved by further consultation. I do not think we're at the point where the bill needs to be recalled. I agree that further consultation needs to be done. I'm equally aware that a number of consultations have happened both at the level of NEC and the NGF. But it would seem that now that it's coming to life, that a lot more actors are apprehensive. So the debate must continue. We must continue to negotiate the terms for which we exist as different federating units within the federation.
Let's get it clearly. And I assume that you've seen the draft bill sent to the National Assembly. It's supposed to be an executive bill sent to the National Assembly for the amendment of the tax system laws in Nigeria. But give us an understanding. How come the northern leaders feel that this is an ethnic or religious regional skill against the north? What is in the semantics or in the technical arrangement of the language, or what exactly is giving the northern leaders this fear that is in that document?
Well, I do not agree with that stand, because I think that any state, that is not productive in quotes, should be one state that should be worried. Because if we're able to tell the origin of consumption and then VAT is allocated vis-a-vis that, then any state, where productivity is high, and then people's disposable incomes are high enough for them to consume, such states wouldn't be worried. And so I do not think that this goes along any ethnic or religious lines. The matter at heart here is derivation. And I think it's time that we begin to discuss how states can begin to contribute to the pie. The current system as currently run, like I had mentioned earlier, has made a lot of states lazy. And so things that they would do with regards to agriculture, for instance, for states that have arable land for agriculture, are things that are not happening. In places where services could be, could be supported for revenues to accrue to government, in those places, a lot of things to improve the ease of doing business, that government could do are slow. If you look at the investment priorities of the states as well, it doesn't suggest that for some states that they are willing to invest in areas that would stimulate the economies of the state. You see the current quest for a lot of state governors to build airports, regardless of the traffic that will go to those airports in those states, as against redirecting, such funds to the agri value chain, where productivity, can be ramped up, and then revenues can accrue to government. So I think it's the conversations are ripe with regards to having the conversations around derivation and how the different states can contribute to growing the pie. The percentage with regards to the derivation for VAT can be negotiated, but I think the certainty that the states need is that, if you decide to go this route, what is the assurance that goods consumed in our states, and VAT paid as a result would, be routed back to the states. And what that question is once we're able to answer that question, I think some of their fears would be allayed.
There are those who will say this proposition by the Tax Reform Committee, as captured in that bill presented by the President to the National Assembly, is aimed at pushing the states to be able to do more. And if there is more in that sense captured in the net, there's more money into that, but also give some level of competition amongst the state for you to be able to produce more. And the fact that I'm understanding that they're also trying to calculate how much each state is plowing into the net. So you get commensurate for what you plow. But in terms of global acceptable standard, or the standards in some other climes that we can follow, how close is this proposition to it? Because we do know that our tax policies and some of our laws are outdated and as old as our colonial fathers. But the question is, how close are we in achieving almost a perfect tax system, or achieving a tax reform that is reasonable to a large extent in that proposition, the bill that was proposed to the National Assembly?
So if you look at the principles of revenue allocation, I mean, equity is, one. For states that do not have the productive basis that they need to be able to generate revenues, there must be some buffer for such states. The principle of need is also another. In states where, for instance, are battling flood, states that are prone to flood, or states that are battling insecurity, it is, it's evident that there must be, some effort by the central government to ameliorate the pains of those states. But there should also be, massive consideration for derivation, because there's an incentive for the states to contribute more to the pie if they get more from derivation. So I think this is something that everybody should be excited about. But then the fine lines on how this will be implemented is what I think we should be focused on. The principle of it, derivation, I don't think it should be contested by any government that thinks that it can be productive enough to contribute to the national pie for everybody then to share. That's my humble opinion.
So, before I allow you to go, I was asking, in comparative analysis, how close are we in getting it right with that proposition? Is it close to a reasonable, global, acceptable standard of taxation?
So experts will tell you that there is no globally accepted, position of what a federation should look like. Different arrangements work in different countries based on, their contextual positions. But what is also clear is that in a federating unit, as the case may be, like I said earlier, or in a federation as the case may be, the different federating units must sit and contest and negotiate the terms for which they seek to coexist as a federation. But there's no template, that works across board. Different countries adopt different systems that work for them.
Tinubu'S Hussein is the head research and policy at Budget. Thank you so much indeed for the insight and some of the perspectives you've shared with us. Thank you so much indeed.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get back to our conversation with Mr. Sunday Dari. And so, look, this government, perhaps for those who voted for it, came in with a lot of steam, and those who revere the Bola Tinubu legacy in Lagos, who thought that there's going to be a lot grounds to cover and a lot of things will be done. But it does look that to so many also, that particular steam is wearing off. And there are those who are perceiving things as though this government is already failing. What do you say to them tonight who believe that maybe this country is in trouble in the hands of Bola Tinubu and we are headed for a disaster, considering the indices of the economy?
This country under the leadership of Bola Tinubu is headed in the right direction.
How?
This country needs fixing, and you have someone in charge who is ready to fix it. Just go down East Lee Kuan Yew and several other leaders. And, it's important because we're talking about leadership and leading countries that need reforms. They took very unpopular decisions, but they were decisions that are necessary. I'd said, you look at the surgeon. The surgeon uses very painful tools to carry out a surgery. Otherwise, the patient would prefer something simple and easy. But the surgeon is never distracted. He never takes his eye off the button. He does what he needs to do, stitches his patient together, and down the line. And don't forget, when there's a surgery, it takes time. Painkillers come. It takes time for that surgery to heal. But what happens at the end? of that healing process. You have a better person, you have a better hand, a better leg. And I say we must look at this. This country over the decades has needed fixing. Don't forget, even 20 years ago, we had certain sectors that were broken. Go back to energy, power, for instance. I will not call names here, but I'm saying that we have a commander-in-chief who says these problems, they need stitching now, so that will not take more stitches down the road.
Now, you have talked about gestation period, Mr. Dare.
Yes.
And you said some of these things need time.
Right.
Politically speaking, you think that this government is becoming rather unpopular, and that may cost it in 2027?
I disagree.
If it desires to seek for a re-election.
I disagree. And let me.
You don't think that is politically unpopular right now?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I think what is needed is a better understanding on the part of Nigerians. That's one. Two.
Are you saying that Nigerians are not understanding?
No, a deeper understanding.
When they are in
a deeper understanding. And government is said to provide that understanding, to say we are on this part right now because we need to create a better country. That's one. That's very, very important. Secondly, here is a president, in spite of the reforms he's taken, is mindful to provide options and alternatives. And that's what you get. Let me take PMS, for instance. In America for now, you have electric cars, because when the pump price of gas went up, 3 different grades, electric is there, then you have the CNG. Just in 2023, 33% of the cars in America ran on CNG. And it was a gradual uptake. It wasn't a 6-month thing. We just started CNG maybe less than a year. We're building the infrastructure.
Albeit very far behind in the promise of the debt timeline.
But it's moving. It's moving. You see, what's important is there's progress. There's progress.
Is there really hope in this country?
There is.
This government promised renewed hope.
There is renewed hope. Like I said, some people see the cup, the same cup, some see it half empty. I see it half full.
But I mean, if you are asking that Nigerians should be more understanding, the question is that is the government and those who are leading us having that understanding to show example that things are difficult, there is no money in this nation, in the lives and the manner in which they live their lives?
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
So? Is the president
for instance,
is your principal showing?
First, about 2 months ago, it reduced the foreign travels of our ministers. Personnel costs and other whatever is important. Just last week, we also reduced the number of cars in their convoys and the security details around them. Those are cost-saving efforts because governance is quite expensive. Again, you're seeing a president who applies himself to the issues and the problems that we have.
What about the president's life?
He doesn't shy away from it.
As the president show an example.
Absolutely.
He's been heavily criticized by the kind of vehicle he rides in, heavily criticized by the fact that he got a brand new plane. Well, not brand new in that sense.
That plane is not a personal plane. That plane belongs to the federal government of Nigeria.
I asked your colleague, Bayo Nanuga, and he was defending it about the security of the nation. But the question is,
that plane is a property
when Nigerians are dying.
Is a property of the federal
and in poverty.
Nigeria. And I think, beyond the purchase of the plane, sometimes we must focus on the substance of governance. We can talk about cars and the rest. Even if these cars were not bought, would they have solved the problem? Would they have changed the lives of millions of Nigerians? I think what's important is you ask, do you have a leader who is abreast of development, who is applying himself to the challenges, who is unafraid and bold enough to take these decisions, and who is ready, he said it, is ready to follow through on the decisions he has taken.
There are some of those who are close to him he said, if his money is not looking for one, if his popularity is not looking for one, if his political office is old enough to have seen a lot of it, but that what he wanted is to be the Lee Kuan Yew of Nigeria. But what is happening in Nigeria? Does Bola Tinubu looking like he's going to
be
Lee Kuan Yew?
How many years did it take Lee Kuan Yew to turn that country around?
So you're asking for how many years for Bola Tinubu to turn things around?
How many years, Sean?
But is it turning things around right now?
Nearly over a decade to do it. Now you're looking at just 2 years, less than 2 years, 18 months down the road. The framers of our constitution, you must give them some credit. The framers of our constitution, our presidential system, gave a first 4-year term and to the extent of a second and final 8-year tenure. There is some wisdom in that because when it comes to governance, you can really achieve your plans. The first 2-3 years are the years of planting your policies and your reforms. It took Lee Kuan Yew 10 to 12 years to turn that country around.
You're saying Tinubu needs 10 to 12
No,
years?
I'm saying, look, let's give him the benefit.
Should we be hopeful for the third year?
It's just 18 months.
Should we be hopeful for the third year?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And we see the gestation we see the actualization of some of these policies.
I want to just encourage Nigerians to keep faith with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This is a man who is adept at governance, a man who, like Awolowo said, burns the midnight oil when other men of easy virtue are carousing around. This is the man I worked with for 7 years, and we slept at 5, 4, 6 in the morning.
Does he still have the energy?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Up till now, he still sleep at that time of the night.
Yes.
You need to take it easy, though.
Well, there's a job to be done.
Well, let me send you to him on behalf of many Nigerians.
There's a job to be done.
Let me send you. Let me tell you something. So you tell the president, he's your principal. You talk to him every time. Nigerians are suffering.
He knows that, and he's doing something about that.
We want to see.
I can reel out the data of what is being done.
All right, congratulations on your appointment, Mr. Sunday, and I wish you the very best in the coming days. I know this is probably one of the toughest
jobs. Please tell Nigerians President Tinubu is doing all he can to ease the pains of our people.
We need to see it, not by telling.
And
we need to see it. We need to feel it.
Look, you talked about data. For every data you have, there's a counter or another data. I can reel off data about the impact. All right, some of this. And
we are totally out of time.
It's progressive.
Sunday Dare is a special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on public communications and orientation. Thank you so much indeed. And it's good to see you again.
Sure, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Akimale. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you for having stayed to the end of this video. You made me really happy. One more thing, click on the notification bell so anytime I upload, you will be the first to be notified. See you on the next one.